My name's Angelo, and welcome to We Want Picks. Every single week, we break down full UFC fight cards. We give you our picks, our bets, and our fantasy plays. So make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of our content. And our videos are brought to you by BETU Play to Earn. BETU Play to Earn is the world's first play-to-earn sports and esports betting game. Check it out now at betuearn.com. That's bet, the letter U, earn.com. And OddsJam. OddsJam.com has the fastest real-time data between all of the sports books, which helps you spot discrepancies and place risk-free bets. Check them out now at oddsjam.com. Every single fight, all of the odds from all of your favorite sports books. And that takes us to the co-main event of the evening. We have another fighter coming back after more than a year away. We have Arnold Allen taking on Dan Hooker. Arnold Allen 5-0 in his last five. He's 17-1 overall. He's coming back after a year layoff, but honestly, that just seems to be his fight schedule. He's been fighting once a year for the last few years. Dan Hooker 21-11 overall. He's 2-3 in his last five, but three of those losses are to Islam, Chandler, and Poirier. Arnold Allen is a very good striker who loves coming forward. He has an upright stance, which helps protect him when he's outside of range, but then he comes lunging in with solid power, which is great, but he also ends up pretty hittable because of how he just comes lunging in. He has nice footwork and solid hand speed. He mixes in takedowns really well and has a few sneaky submissions like we saw in his UFC debut. Dan Hooker is making his featherweight debut, and I say debut loosely. I know, I'm fully aware that he fought at 45 earlier, but it has been many years. He's older, bigger, and he spent a lot of time at 155. So let's just call it a debut. Dan Hooker back down, I guess, at 145. He's a very good striker with an enormous amount of heart. He's long, rangy, a solid kickboxer who uses those kicks well to manage distance. He's coming off that loss to Islam, but he took that on short notice, and it just felt like the entire time he just didn't care if he won or lost. In the fight before that against Nasrat, we saw him working some wrestling really well, which just was kind of a new dynamic to his game. We've seen him in multiple wars against Felder and Dustin, but I do worry that those fights have taken a few years off his career. Dan Hooker opened as a plus 135 underdog, and those odds swayed all the way to Dan Hooker being a minus 130 favorite, and now they're back sort of towards the middle with Dan Hooker just being a tiny, slight favorite on most books. And I guess it makes sense because Dan's level of competition, he had world ranking, fighting world ranked fighters. He has just a whole breadth of a career in that 21-11, where Arnold Allen hasn't really fought the who's who of the division just yet, and we haven't really seen him tested. I get why the early books liked Allen here, though. He's young, he's fast, he hits hard, and he can grapple. He's won 8 fights in the UFC, and he's pretty much been under the radar the entire time. Nobody's given him any credit for all of those wins since 2015. We've even seen him come back from adversity and steal fights he was about to lose, like when he submitted Burnell after being taken down 6 times. So I actually like Arnold to win here. I only have 2 concerns. The first is you only fight once a year. I hate layoffs. I hate layoffs in this sport. The only time I'm okay with a layoff is like when it's Stipe Miocic after a knockout, right? Take a year, let your chin heal up, let your brain do what it's got to do. But a guy like this who's young, I just feel like he's given away his best years being as inactive as he is. The second concern is Dan Hooker coming back down to 145. He may be a beast. He may be strong as hell, keep the power, keep the cardio, and just be ready to go. Or he may be sucked out, his chin is useless, and he's exhausted. I just don't know. This is another let's watch the scale type situation, but I actually like Arnold Allen here. I think Dan Hooker, and this might be recency bias. I might be reading this completely wrong. I think Dan Hooker's a little bit overrated. What do you think?
I'm surprisingly agree with just about everything you said. Listen, speaking of overrated, the guy is a favorite. He has 11 losses. I mean, this is a 17-1 fighter. I understand the level of competition, but he has still lost 11 times in his career. This guy is not some invincible guy. And I hate when people try and reinvent themselves at a different weight class. Obviously, he was struggling at lightweight. He wasn't winning the big fights that he wanted to win. He was kind of up there as one of those guys, but he couldn't quite make it. So let me try and reinvent myself. how many times does that really work out? I mean, you see it occasionally. Obviously, Aldo was one, but Aldo is like a different level. A lot of times when these guys try to reinvent themselves, it doesn't really work out. I'm not worried about the cut. He made like a practice cut. He looked fine doing it. He's done it before. I'm not as worried about the cut as most people. But man, I talked earlier. We talked about Jack Shore. We talked about Jai. We talked about Paul Craig. Listen, we got Pat Sabatini, Ryan Hall, Melissa Gatto, TJ Brown, John Sexy Mexi, Gloria DePaula, Marina Moroz, and Guido Canetti. Last week, I told you guys we're 8-2-1. Lock of the week, last 11 weeks, we're on a. I mean, it's the best lock of the week has ever done. Early on, it started off great. Then it got a lot of little loosey goosey. I told you guys I was going to lock it in. I've locked it in. We've got the lock of the week in Arnold Allen. This guy was bred and born and trained to be a champion. His coaches have talked. He doesn't care about the fame. He doesn't care about the money. He trains every single day because he wants to be a champion. There is different levels in fighting. Some people are very good at fighting and they do it because it's fun. They're not really fully invested. Some people have been in mixed martial arts their entire careers and they live and breathe it and they only want to be champions. And a lot of times, those are the people that become the champions. You see that with the Khabibs, the Islams, all those guys that just live it, breathe it, die for it. Arnold Allen is one of those guys. His striking is fantastic, but he doesn't go all in on his striking. He's very smart with his distance. He's very smart with his cardio. He's very smart with his distance. Did I say distance twice? No, I meant I don't know what I said, but
You said
anyway,
smart a few times. Jeez.
Yeah, the one thing he's got to worry, the two things he's got to worry about in this matchup is Dan Hooker's power early, because I think that 155 power will transfer to 145. I don't think he's going to have any issues with the weight cut. I think the power is going to transfer. He's got to watch out for the power early, and if there is clinch situations, you got to watch out for Dan Hooker in the clinch. He's going to be long, so the knees are going to be there, the elbows are going to be there. You got to be clean out of those breaks. If he's able to do that, I don't see him having any issues with Dan Hooker in this matchup. I think by the third round, this could end up looking like the Max Holloway Calvin Kattar fight, where Max Holloway is just absolutely piecing up Dan Hooker. I think Arnold Allen has those abilities on the feet. If Dan Hooker wants to try to wrestle, you saw Arnold Allen against Nick Lentz. Nick Lentz wasn't credited with a takedown, but he kind of did get a takedown in that matchup. He got him to a knee, but Arnold Allen, you could tell, knew what to do in that situation to keep from getting put onto his back. I don't think Dan Hooker is going to be able to grapple in this matchup. I think he's going to try and strike. If he doesn't find a knockout early, he's going to be in big trouble, because this is the lock of the week, and I do not lose lock of the week. So Arnold Allen, congratulations on the win this week, and let's make that run for the title, baby. Lock of the week.
We're both on the Allen side. I'm going to be watching the scale a little bit, right? Because I am very curious to see what Dan Hooker looks like. I know he did the test cut, but that doesn't matter. What did you see with the test cut? A quick social media post? You don't know. I mean, you don't know.
I mean, big on the scale, big smile, flex, and didn't look sucked out. You can tell a lot by those videos.
Yeah, I mean, I hear you, but we'll see. We'll see what he looks like on the scale. Maybe nothing may look great. I mean, he still has to travel. I mean, yeah, it's not all the way to America, but this is not a quick flight from Australia to England. DraftKings, straight up pick him. I like Arnold Allen, $8,000. If you're on the Dan Hooker side, grab it. $8,200. It's worth the extra $200. Because what I will say, the known for Dan Hooker is we know how freaking tough he is. We know the wars he's been in. And he's not the type of guy that you put out there quickly unless your name is Islam. So he can make a fight super dirty. Obviously, you'll have Allen in your lineup at 8,000. I probably will as well. What do you think of the Monkey Knife Fight strike line? 48.5 to 99. I think it's a more or less.
Yeah, it's probably a more or less, because Arnold will have power when he wants it. He's a guy that when he starts getting his range, he will sit on a shot. So he has power. He doesn't throw it a lot, which I like in that matchup because that could find some issues. So he's going to be a lower volume guy. I like that 48 number. It's probably a more play on top of that. And Dan Hooker, I don't see him throwing a ton of volume in this matchup. I think he needs to be the power guy if he wants to try to win. So it's probably a less play on him.
Yeah, I think I agree with you there. And so you don't care at all about the scale for Dan Hooker. You're not worried that he's going to come in being jacked and make something happen.
I agree with you that it's obviously different from making featherweight whenever it was 6 or 7 years ago, because you're going to grow into that lightweight body by continuing to just cut to lightweight. You're going to naturally grow as you get older into that body. So we'll see how he looks on Friday. Maybe it is an issue, but I'm not quite as worried about it as everyone else is.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, anyway, you want 50 free bucks? Go to wewantpicks.com/bets. Sign up with any one of our 5 betting partners. Make a deposit. Let me know, and we send you $50. But you got to use our links, and you got to make a deposit, and we'll send you $50 as a thank you for supporting us and our partners.